Right. Well, welcome to University. My name is Kevin Anyango. The platform is mostly to talk about soft skills, those things that employers are looking for. Today, I'm not alone. Today, I am with one and only Terryanne Chebet. Terryanne, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I've been curious about Mtandao University. I mean, I love the name, first of all. It does say a lot about what you're doing, and it's such an amazing space to be. So you must be a very clever young man.
Hey, there's no flattering here. This is my show. I flatter you, not me. Not the other way around. Oh, but the Terryanne, just to say that I've got a 2-year-old daughter. So if she walks in at a particular time, please don't freak.
Don't worry.
Okay, it'll be fine.
It might rain as well where I am. So if you see me running out, I'll try and run with the camera. Uh, but
So,
I'm hoping it doesn't rain.
so where is that? If you don't mind me asking. So you're in Nairobi now, right?
Yes, I'm in Nairobi. I was at a conference, a women economic conference. I was moderating.
Right.
It ended at 4:30, so I knew I was like, I can't drive, start getting into traffic, because that would take maybe another hour to get home. So I decided to stay in the garden, which is quite beautiful. But it's rainy season in
It
Nairobi.
is beautiful. It is.
Fingers crossed.
Well, I've got to say it's very beautiful. I mean, I wish I was there. Look, Terryanne, how do I address you? I mean, so you're not just a journalist, because look at your profile. You are an entrepreneur, to be honest.
Yeah.
So well, how do you address you? A journalist or a celebrity or what?
Terryanne would be great, but entrepreneur. I mean, I'm an entrepreneur, whether it is from a media perspective or whatever it is I'm doing now is it's all about making some money with the skills that I've built over the years, the brand that I've built. So entrepreneur works just fine.
Wow, how much are you worth, Terryanne? Don't tell me that. Okay. Well, listen, I'll go straight to the point. Terryanne, listen, I come across lots of young people with unbelievable certificates. Like, we're talking about not just certificates, actually, but people going to very good schools, but are struggling to either to keep their jobs or even to get opportunities. And looking at your profile, you've worked at very interesting places, and right now you run your own company, which you can talk about that at some point. Why do young people struggle, first of all, to get employment?
Well, it's a mixture of many things. First of all, we cannot ignore the fact that there are more people than jobs, especially, and not just in Kenya, but across the world. So it's not just a Kenyan problem. But that's one thing. But also, just in respect to the conversation we're having today, why do other people get jobs and others don't? So that is also, it could be neither here nor there, but then it's a mixture of many things. How do they present themselves? How do they package their story? Who are they? How do they communicate? How passionate are they about, whatever job they were looking for? So it's a cross section of many things. But I think at the end of the day, if you have, just one foot in the door where an interviewer is concerned, then what makes you stand out from the other person who was ahead of you or behind you? And it's a myriad of things, but it is a cross section of both, um, academic and professional skills, and also soft skills, which I can't wait to talk about actually. But it is a lot. It's
So,
packaging.
for example, so carry on. Sorry, you say something.
Yeah, so I was just saying it's a whole package, and depending on the kind of employer you have, sometimes they'll take the soft skills or the candidate that has better soft skills, depending on the role as well. But it doesn't matter, what kind of job opportunity it is. If you have better softer skills than the person ahead, or after you in an interview, you stand a higher chance of getting that job.
Let's take, for example, you talk about who the candidates are, so a person, and most of the times people rely on their academics or rely on their papers, and the aim of this platform is actually to look at what else are employers looking for, and we're looking at, for example, computer skills, which you mentioned, leadership skills, critical thinking. But I want to concentrate on the personality aspect of it. And if you don't mind, I'm going to use your experience. You worked at a very high level as a journalist, and also you run your own company. When you're looking for someone to come and work for you, how do you tell the personality in an interview?
I'll tell you a story about a young man I met many years ago, and he's just one of many people that I've spoken with, and they just blew me away because of their personality and not necessarily what they had on paper. One is a young man who was a waiter at a restaurant that I used to, well, I like to go to. And he was probably about 19, 20 at the time. And he would serve us, and every time would come in, he was like he was always very conversational, very welcoming, and he looked very young, and he was very well spoken. And this was a nyama choma joint, if I and you know how
Yes.
they are. This is my local.
Okay.
So
I know
and
it
I was
is.
like, and he's this young man was very well spoken, has a very good voice, and I was like, who are you? Why are you here? And every other time we went in, and at some point I had a vacancy, not a vacancy, but an internship role within the ad agency that I'd set up within the digital space, actually social media space at the time. And so I asked him, would you be interested in coming on an internship? And he is like, what? I have no experience. And I said, no, 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 you don't need any experience. I'll teach you on the job, and you also learn on the job. I just need to know if you are interested, in this role. And he said yes. And he came on board, I think, 2 or 3 days later. And this young man blew our minds away. When we would go to client pitches, we had to go with him because he just had this charm, and he had a way with people. He just knew how to communicate, how to package himself. And today he's a marketing manager somewhere. So for me, that's what I look at. I enjoy a young person who's passionate about what they're doing. And there's things you can fake. You can fake your papers, you can fake your resume, but you cannot fake passion. So I really love that about this young man. And not just him, but also a number of the other people who have worked with me through the years. It's a lot of sitting down with them, talking with them, and getting to know them before I actually, get to hire them. And allow me, I know you want to jump to the next question.
Please,
A
yes.
couple of years ago, I spoke with the late Bob Collymore, and I
Yes.
asked him about hiring, at Safaricom, and he said one of the things he deliberately did was to actually have a meeting with those who are coming to work at Safaricom, especially on the management level, and not necessarily the top senior managers, but just somebody who was coming in at a certain role that was a senior role. He ensured that he met all of them in an informal setting, but in his office, and they would have a conversation, 20 minutes, half an hour. He would get to know them, and he told me, at the end of that conversation, I would know whether this is the right fit or the wrong fit. And he's not asking you about your papers, about where you went to school. It's just a conversation about life. And for me, that said a lot about the role of soft skills, especially with managers who know what they're looking for. They're looking for delivery. They're looking for somebody who's a team worker or team builder. They would know by speaking to you, not just by looking at your resume. So I really took that to heart. And every time I have to interview somebody, or I'm looking for somebody from my team, or somebody has asked me to help them hire, that's exactly what I do as well. I'll ask you, for a coffee, let's have lunch. and then after that we can take it to the office.
And so that's interesting. So you say you cannot fake papers, but they also that saying that fake it till you make it. And again, I'm going to use my experience particularly. You see lots of young people in the offices, and they don't care who they're training on. I mean, they want to go. They're very ambitious. They want to get there. I suppose what I'm putting across here to now is then what's this notion of fake it till you make it?
Well, there's a good and a bad side of faking it till you make it. I'm not a believer in faking it till you make it. Although sometimes I'm like, I want to believe that I'm there so much so that I will actually just. I don't want to say fake it because it sounds so fake. But I'm a big believer of ambition. I'm perhaps one of the most ambitious people you'll ever meet. I hit above my weight. I knock on doors that sometimes people don't believe will be opened. I push the boundaries, and I believe in myself, and I believe in what I can do. So there could be an aspect there of, am I faking it till I make it? Maybe not. Um, but there is an aspect of ambition within faking it until you make it, which I like. But generally, as a concept, I don't believe in faking
Mm.
it, because the thing with that is it could put blinders on you, and you believe you know things which you don't actually know, but you could learn if you position yourself in a way such that instead of saying I'm faking it till I make it, it's, I will learn everything I can. I will be open to mentorship. I will be open to being teachable, and which is not faking it, but it is putting yourself in a position to be taught, or to be led, or to be guided, or to be mentored. So I would look at it from that perspective, and I would say fake it till you make it is, I mean, at some point you're going to feel like an imposter.
Yes,
We've all heard of imposter syndrome.
yes,
Where you're in a room with proper heavy heaters, and if you're faking it and you're not doing your homework while faking it, then you're just going to, you know, fall off or be sifted. Is it sifted?
yes.
Yeah, the way the Bible says, the chaff will be sifted from the millet. I don't know if it was millet or sorghum in the Bible.
Well,
One of those.
so that's interesting. No, you talk about teachable, and I remember at the beginning of the year, there was this publication which was written by World Economic Forum, and they named 5 skills that people should have in order to they can fit on today's market. And one of those things that they mentioned was teachable. People should be teachable, especially when you're going to work, or when you're going to look for employment opportunities. But here's the case where, again, my target audience today are those people with academics, people that have done really well, people with the degrees, really. And they go into workplace, and they kind of look at being taught at workplace as uh, being looked down upon, if you see what I mean. So, what will you talk about this, the aspect of being teachable? You go to work, obviously, I want somebody that can make money for me from my employer, but at the same time, I want to have somebody that I can teach, you know, someone that will not bring their papers fast. For example, naming university that, for example, in your case, I can see you went to USIU.
Yeah.
Right. So if you go to an office, and the first thing you talk about is your academics and where you're at school. So you kind of look at being shown what you'll be, or being mentored as a way of being looked down upon. What will you talk about that as Terryanne?
Yeah. I mean, I hear you, but it's also, well, yeah, there's one sense of, you'd feel that if I look too like I don't know anything, then it will look badly on my performance. But that's one thing. By being teachable does not necessarily mean you don't know anything. So you may be, um, but even because even a boss needs to be teachable. Sometimes you hire people who are smarter than you, so that they can deliver on one or two skills that you may not have. So you must be also teachable as an employer or as a leader. So there's nothing bad about the word teachable. Everybody, there's no end to learning. There's no end to learning. It doesn't matter who
Yes.
you are, how old you are, how young you are, but you
Yes.
must have, it's an attitude. Teachability is an attitude. So if you have the attitude of being ready and open to learning, I mean, I learn every day. I'm a journalist by training, actually a TV producer, not even a reporter. And I will learn from everyone. I'll learn from a video editor. I'll learn from a cameraman, because there's things I will never be able to know 100% about. So no matter what level we are in the career, whether you're an intern or the boss, we must all have this, that teachability skill. And it's more of an attitude other than just another regular skill. In my opinion, it's one of the top soft skills that we need to have.
And again, there's nothing wrong with asking questions, isn't it? And I find when people go for the interview and they ask specific whether they think they should know, there's nothing wrong with that. Let's talk about attitude. And again, I'm going to use the Kenyan concept. I do know that we're being watched over the world, really, because this is an open forum. But I'm going to take Kenya as a case study in this particular talk today. And there's this attitude, Terryanne, about utadu. Young people go to work, they go to employment, they dress smartly, they're very beautiful, good looking, and they have that attitude that, I'm here by merit, I do not care what other people think about me. It's like, utafanya nini, this is my place. That kind of mentality, Terryanne, is quite dangerous, isn't it? And you see it online with people, the way they talk. When you meet people in person, you can still see that kind of attitude, as an experienced journalist and also as an employer yourself. What will you talk about that in terms of that attitude, that utafanya nini?
Yeah. Personally, I would not work with somebody who has that utadu attitude, because one, they have such a high possibility of bringing everybody down with them. Just impacting, bringing negative energy to the office, influencing others in a negative way. So I would not do that. I believe people thrive in a positive environment. I
Yes.
believe people thrive in an environment where they're in a team, even in a family, if I can use that word, depending on the size of your organization. So for me, if you're not a member of the team, then you're out. I mean, I'm a team member myself, even as a leader or as a founder of the company. I have to be part of the team to start with. So and I remember one of the things that I used to do, I don't do that anymore, but I probably need to do that as well, is to have, like an easy Friday afternoon where, but this was way before COVID, at the agency, where we would, just chill, get to know each other, play some music, talk. We would talk about everything from, where our careers are going. We'd talk about the week. We would talk about, the jobs we've had. We'd buy some, soft and hard drinks, if I can call it that, and just loosen up and enjoy. And that's when you really get to build a team. And that's one of the places how you get to get your team to be solidified. It's like team building, but in a very casual kind of way, which makes such a big difference. And when we come back to work on Monday, everyone is just up and ready to work. You all know what challenges I've been facing. You help me with
Yes.
this. So my perspective about the kind of person that works in a small, in most importantly, actually, in a small organization, they cannot afford to have that mentality of, I'll just do my part and I'll go. You have to be part of a team. You have to contribute. You have to talk to each other, which is why I still really like open working spaces where everybody's is in the same space. So we are a team. No headphones on. I try to tell people, if you're in the office, you can put your headphones on if you're doing something that needs the headphones. But usually, because we're talking across with each other, it needs to stay open.
That's interesting, Terryanne. And at the interview, how will you show that you're a team person? Because these are things that, yes, you can write, but you've got your people. And sometimes having a formal interview is a bit unfair. But if someone asks you, if you're a team person, you say yes. How can you prove that in an interview?
The thing with soft skills is they're intangible, right? So sometimes you can't really quantify, you can't really measure them. But then there are experiences that you may have had, even in school, that will show your team building skills. So if you
So
get
like
into
what?
an interview, let's say, for instance, you're at an interview and they ask you, would you say that you have good, are you a team player? And you could use examples from your, let's say, university days or college or church or your chama. There's so many places where you can get to build uh, your team player skills, and use those examples to talk to your interviewers, or the panel, which brings me to this point, that you must be deliberate in learning some of these social soft skills, because some of them might not be naturally intrinsic. Most of them are intrinsic, but some of them you can learn along the way. Like being a team player, it's looking at your emotional intelligence. It's looking at how do you relate with people, how do you pull people into a team, how do you how do you get others to believe in your vision. So
Yes.
that's how you portray your team player skills. And it could be anything from, I brought my 5 friends on this project. I wanted to go and feed a children's home
Yes.
in whatever place, and you talk about that, and that will display your leadership skills, your communication skills, your team player skills, your team building skills. So it is
Oh,
these things that you may not think are big enough, but employers will actually see that as you're a person of initiative and you're a person who believes in working with a team.
oh, I'm glad you mentioned that, and it's something that I've never thought about actually. Where in an interview you can talk about your personal stuff that can show that actually you belong to a community and you serve in the community. Now, uh, let's talk about innovation. And again, you say people, apart from academics, employers want people that are innovative. People that come up with ideas. Um, but it needs confidence, isn't it? For you to, for example, if you're a new person in a particular company, and you want to talk about something, you want to show that you're an innovative character. How will young people develop this kind of confidence, if I could call it that way?
I strongly believe that confidence is built through acquisition of knowledge. I am very confident about the things that I know. I'm sure, Kevin, you are very confident about the things that you know. If you called me here, for instance, to speak about Kenya's economy, how Kenya is managing its debt situation, I would be the most, I would derail the whole conversation completely, because I'm not an expert in economics, for instance. So even when it comes to innovation and putting forth, a pitch or ideas that you have, you must have built knowledge, and you must be deliberate in seeking that knowledge in order to be confident in what you're doing. I'll use an example from a lesson I was taught when I was at CNBC Africa. So I joined CNBC as a reporter. I was the East African correspondent at the time, and I did not know business journalism. I had been a news anchor at KBC, but I can't even call it a news anchor. I'll call it a news reader, because that's exactly what I used to do. And at that time, I just had to convince them that I spoke well, I was eloquent, you could hear me well, and I looked like I knew what I was talking about. So that was that was all the experience I had as a business presenter. But the game at CNBC was completely different. I had to report. I had to go to Treasury. I had to go to the central bank. I had to interview the central bank governor. I had to interview the minister of transport. So I had to know things. And that can only come with acquisition of knowledge. So what my boss told me at the time, and he was such a kind gentleman, because he gave me time to learn, which is not always the case. Sometimes you're sort of expected to learn right from the beginning. But he told me, every morning, read the Business Daily, by The Economist, by the Harvard Business Review. No, that was actually one of my mentors, Washira Waruru, who's a current boss at Raw Media Services, Citizen, and he said you have to learn because it's showing on air that you are not putting 100% in learning. And he said no matter how confident you may be, if you do not know your subject, then your confidence will ebb. People will see, and for yourself you'll also not ask the right questions, and you'll not be confident enough to pitch or to say I have ABC ideas that I'd like to, or I want to have an interview with you, and your guest will be like, but this chick does not understand anything she talks about. So for me, confidence comes from learning.
That's interesting. And so, no, sorry, please carry on. Carry on, please.
Confidence comes from learning, and it has to be a deliberate effort on your part. Nobody will teach you or force you to learn, but it will be up to you to decide, I want to learn more about I want to learn more about cloud computing. I want to learn more about the Internet of Things. I want to learn more about ABCD, and do it deliberately every day. Say, I'm going to pick an article, even if it's a short, 300 piece on the internet, but it has to be a deliberate effort. And that way you learn so much more, and you actually end up standing out from, your colleagues, because you have taken time to know more. And it does, even in school, you just put yourself out there and learn.
I like the idea of learning, and you find most people that are looking for work or employment opportunities, they're always outside, and sometimes when you struggle to get opportunities, it's an opportunity for you to build yourself, isn't it? And you can do this through learning. For those that have just joined us, this is International University School of Soft Skills, and today I'm talking to Terryanne Chebet, based in Nairobi now. She's an entrepreneur, quite astute journalist, if I can use those words. Anyway, we go back to the topic, Terryanne. So for you to gain knowledge, you need to keep learning. You need to read, but many young people do not read, and that is a problem. They say that books are expensive, but now that brings us to the last part, which is using internet. As a media, as a tool to build yourself. Most people use internet just on social media, but would not, for example, YouTube, you can learn various things. Internet connect people. I've got to say that I've never met you in person, but I met you actually on Twitter, and then mutual friend came in. As an experienced person, and this is because I talk to people like you, people that have good experience. You've learned your trade. What is the role of the internet when it comes to building oneself and also looking for opportunity?
Oh, the internet has changed everything. I was talking to my 14-year-old daughter recently, and I told her
14?
about,
Hang on, 14?
yes, I've got
Oh, you must
my
be joking.
turns 15 in 2 months actually.
You must be joking. Come on.
Well, thank you. I'll steal the compliment from that one.
No, it's unbelievable. Okay, carry on. That's another topic. I will slide with the DM later. But carry on.
It's the genes and the mursik and the milk. Um, so I was telling my older daughter about a presentation I did during Science Congress in high school, and it was about garlic, and we called it garlic, the magic plant. And my mother used to work for a library in Kitale, which was the Kitale Museum library. And so I called her from the school, and told her we have this project and we'd like to get some books from the museum. So she brought us, because there was no internet. There was no way we were going to research about garlic, on the
Yes.
internet. And my daughter was like, there was no internet. I'm like, I had never seen a computer at that point. Everything was handwritten or typed using a typewriter, which I knew how to use a typewriter because of my mom. So now, looking at it now and how I use my computer, I'm like, if I had a computer when I was in high school, oh my God, I don't know, like I would be so much farther than I am today, because it's such a a rich tool for growth. I mean, social media is fine. I'm on social media. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Pinterest, which is my favorite. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. But the majority of my time is actually spent, not the majority, but I try to balance such that I'm learning on my phone. I've got some learning apps as well. I try to learn a new word every day, despite the fact that I don't speak too badly, but I think it's important to learn constantly. So I have apps on my
Yes.
phone for, word of the day. I have the intellect app for me to, to learn new things or new phrases or mental health. So I'm constantly trying to learn as well. So the internet is so rich. There's many places where you can also get free courses. I last year I did a course on entrepreneurship from Harvard X Online, which is a Harvard online platform, and I got a certificate for it. It was a 3-month course, and there's so many of that. So we can, if we use the internet the right way, it can really take us far. And in terms of career growth, imagine on your CV, yes, you have you know, your academic credentials. It could be a diploma, it could be a university, your first degree, or second, or even a PhD. But imagine besides that, you can show your prospective employer that you've done all these other courses. They may have been free, but you've learned so much just because you made time to actually do it. And because they don't force you to, to attend class, you make time for it. You become so disciplined because this is your, you time yourself, and you have to finish it within 3 months. So it says a lot about the kind of person that you are. So for me, I'll just challenge everybody who's on the internet, as much as you have your social media platforms, whether you use your phone or your laptop, especially your phone, also put in some apps that will help you learn something new,
Yes.
challenge you to something great, push you, motivate you. Just put in, and I always say, if you have 4 social media apps, you need to have 4 other apps that will challenge you to be better, to grow. So the internet is an amazing place, but it only depends on how you choose to use it.
Right, right. That's interesting. I have two more questions, and I'll let you go, Terryanne. Number one, you sound very eloquent. Obviously, you're a journalist. You know, you sound very clear, and actually, I admire the way you talk. How old people? So, people that want to get into kind of work that you're doing, or even just people looking for employment in general. Again, one of the key skills, social skills. I'm referring again to this publication that produced by World Economic Forum. They say people need to learn how to speak. People need to learn how to communicate. In your case, the way you speak. So that was trained, or you're born like that? Because I've got to say, you're very clear. In terms of the way you speak, the conversation you're having. I can hear you very properly. There are some people, even in England. Well, I live in London myself. We speak English, but there's some people the way they speak, I don't even understand them. So my question to you is, how, what what helped you? How did you build your communication skills, particularly the way you speak?
Okay. Thank you, Kevin. Well, first of all, nobody is born speaking well. I wish that was the case, because I probably would have chosen to be born in London. Um, but, but it's so I grew up in a strict home where my father was very particular about how we spoke. And if there are any parents in, listening to this today, I'll challenge you to do the same. My dad made sure we read widely. He stocked up a library, and he ensured that, and he always said, my children read, and he would make sure that we read. Would read with him, or we'd read something, and he'll ask us about what we've read, and he'll sit down. I remember he used to make me listen to KBC English radio. There was a particular lady he really liked. She was called what was her name? I forget now. I'll remember at some point, hopefully. And my dad always said, this lady speaks really well, and I want you guys to speak proper English. So if you said a word like, you said a word in a way it was not supposed to be pronounced, he was very quick to ask us to to stop us and say, no, 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 this is how it's said, this is how it's said, this is how it's said. So from a parenting perspective also, parents need to be actively teaching their kids of, pushing their kids towards speaking properly or speaking well or speaking eloquently, but it is a learned skill. And no matter where you're from, you can learn to, and it doesn't matter at what point, but the more you practice, the better you get. Of course, being in the media career also gave me a chance to retrain and constantly train and constantly ensure that I can be properly heard and my points come across clearly. But it's practice. And now online, there's so much that can help you to speak better. I mean, I've just told you about the app I have called, I think it's called Word of the Day, which basically, gives you a new word every day to learn. So that will help you build your grammar. That will help you build your, you have much more wealth from a speaking perspective, and that will always take you, a lot further. So there's that, and then read. The more you read, the more your grammar grows, the better you learn to speak, the more confident you will be about speaking. And I'll go back to learning again, because the more you know, the more confident you are about when you speak. And I know this, there's people who may say, but I have a mother tongue interference, and that's okay. We think the Italians and the French are sexy, but they have mother tongue interference.
Yes,
It is
yes.
mother tongue interference, exactly. But they will put their point across confidently because they know what they're talking about. So it doesn't matter how much, mother tongue interference you may have. Just be confident with your key talking points. Be confident with what you're saying, and your point will come across. And also, there's many lessons online, different apps that you use, whether it's Skillshare or whatever it is that you choose to use, to find some of these lessons, speaking lessons, voice lessons on YouTube as well, which is absolutely free and you don't have to pay anything. You will also find so many other lessons around voice and speaking that that can help you build your confidence in that. So, well, thank you for the compliments, but it's
No,
it's
no, no,
different
no,
on.
you do. And no, honestly, and it's not just because you're a journalist. And even though sometimes when you're in a newsroom, you practice, the way you're going to mention some words. But here we are right now. We don't have a script, but I can still, see, or I can feel that clearly. You've invested a lot in how you communicate, and this is not about just language. I'm not talking about English. I'm just talking in general. When people speak, when you look for opportunities, you need to learn how to speak properly. And the last thing from me, Terryanne, and I'll go back to the way we started about being a creative, being innovative. How do you develop that kind of a mindset? You know, you know, for you, for example, yourself, apart from what you do, what pays the bill, you also run this particular company. If I could find the name correctly, I think it's a beauty.
Keyara,
Oh,
Keyara
sorry, please.
Botanicals.
So what's that?
Keyara.
What's that? I'm going to give you now 10 seconds of fame. What's the business about?
Well, thank you so much. I'll make it as quick as I can. So, Keyara Botanicals is a skincare business. We manufacture products sourced from African raw materials, or raw materials sourced from across the African continent. And we manufacture skincare products for families, for mothers, targeting our skin and giving us products that are not heavy on chemicals and all these additives that are put in. So basically, in a nutshell, that's what we do.
Well, and so that idea came from your personal experience, which I know. I want to mention that, but that's kind of mindset I'm talking about now. And young people sometimes, we kind of looking at employment as I just want a white collar job kind of work,
Yeah.
and we leave our innovative or creative minds outside. So my question to you is: so how do you develop this kind of a mindset where you are creative, you want to be innovative as you look for opportunities?
Yeah. I mean, the world doesn't give us the opportunities to be comfortable, wealthy, on a silver platter. We have to go out to look for it. So I would always say, first it's your ambition. What do you want to achieve? Where do you want to go? Which how what kind of life do you want to live? And then from then on, you look backwards and say, okay, so I have a job, this is what it pays me, but I'm also going to need extra amount because I want to save, I want to buy a house, I want to build a house, I want to buy a plot, all that kind of thing. And I grew up, and I think most of us grew up in spaces where our parents maybe were working. Most in my time, those the majority of people were working in government, or were teachers, or doctors. There was a lot of government involved, right? But our homes had chicken. We used to plant tomatoes. Our parents were doing farming on the side, and it wasn't big, but they always had a different source of income. I don't believe my parents at any one time used their salaries to pay our school fees. We didn't. I'm not from a rich family. We were not wealthy, but it was, all the other things. It was a maize, actually, for those of us who are from Kitale. Maize was my parents' side hustle. It just wasn't called a side hustle, but it was, a different revenue stream. So in the same way, we must always, just keep your eyes on the ball, because you remember that book, Who Moved My Cheese?
Yes, yes,
You don't know when your cheese will move, right?
yes,
so
yes, yes,
so we have to be creative, we have to be innovative, and we have to constantly think, if this ends today, if I lose my job today, if for instance I'm a journalist and then I lose my voice completely, or a singer, then what happens to me?
yes,
So we have to constantly be innovative, think of where your future is going. And I'm a total believer in multiple streams of income. So if you can, then do it. Look around you, solve problems around your
yes.
community, and make money while solving those problems. Sorry, I'm in the garden, so I think there's an insect in my shoe.
Okay. Oh, yeah, of course. Trouble of being a lady.
Sorry about that.
No, it's
But it's
fine.
there's so much, uh, that we can do from your own ambitions and goals that you have set. So, and if you haven't set any goals, then where are you going? What's your vision? And if you know that, you work backwards from it, you will be forced to become innovative, whether you like it or not.
Mhm. And now, I mean, we're living in a pandemic where we're not allowed to travel anymore. And, for example, people have lost their jobs. So, as you say, you've got to learn, you've got to be always on your toes, isn't it? And you mentioned about solving problems. And again, that's one of those skills or soft skills that employers want. Are you somebody that can solve problems? And again, this is the last question now, Terryanne. So, when you talk about solving problems in your community, so what do you mean here?
When we think of starting a business, and I like when people ask me or say, "Oh, I've got 100K or 50K. I want to start a business. What kind of business do you think I should start?" And I say, that's first of all, that's the wrong question to ask, um, because the business you should start is a business that will make sense in the space that you operate in. And unfortunately, as Kenyans, we're in a copycat environment. I sell shoes, and suddenly everybody starts selling shoes. I sell handbags, and suddenly everybody starts selling handbags. I mean, you saw what happened to quail eggs and all these business trends. Now I'm told it's wines and spirits, which are all the rave,
Yes.
in Nairobi right now. And I'm like, how much are we drinking, guys? So my thinking always is, um, let one look around you, solve a problem, and usually you will, if you find a real problem to solve, you will make money at it
So
instead of just
you get involved in your community. That's what you mean.
not necessarily. Let's say, for instance, let's even just say a border, right? You live in a place where people have had to walk from, for a kilometer because the road was so far away. So finding the problem there is, how do I get people to pay for me to transport them from this place where they are to the main road? And that's how the border business actually started. So it's finding problems. My business, for instance, Keyara Botanicals. Started because there was a problem. My daughter had a skincare condition, and I needed to find some solution that worked. A skin doctor recommended something. I found out that other women, mothers, were actually going through the same thing, and I said, wait a minute, then I can provide this. So that's what I mean by finding a problem, which
So
means you have
is
to.
that, sorry, Terryanne, that's interesting. So is that how you created the kind of business through your daughter, as a result of your daughter's problems?
Yes, absolutely. That's how I started
Okay.
it. So you have to put your ear on the ground, and constantly find out what's. I mean, I wasn't even seriously thinking of starting a business at the time. I was working. I had started, I think, the agency, so I hadn't started Keyara Botanicals, and I wasn't looking to start a skincare business. I just realized that there were other mothers who were also looking for what I was looking for, which was not readily available in the market at the time, but I found where I could get it from. So I'm like, there's opportunity there that has presented itself. So in the
Wow.
same way, we need to put our ear on the ground, because you'll find amazing opportunities, um, if we just put your ear on the ground. And it could be around you, it could be in your
Yes.
office. One of the ones, if I may, one of the ones that I've talked about recently, which I really loved, this office where I worked. And for instance, I didn't want to leave at lunchtime. I don't If I'm not near my home or a place where I can dash for lunch and come back, I'd rather stay in the office. If I haven't carried my packed lunch, I'll probably just have coffee until evening. But then
Yes.
this lady started bringing in noodles, but I only found out this towards the end of my employment there, and I was like, this is genius, because all people needed was hot water, which we had readily available, and then people were buying the noodles from her. So you can imagine, if she decided to sell 20 packets of noodles every
Yeah.
lunchtime, she was making something on the side. So and there was a clearly there was a challenge where lunch was concerned in the office, because you're not able to bring your packed lunch every day. You're not able to walk to a restaurant every day. So she provided a solution in the office. So it can be simple things.
Yes.
But
And that's the point, Terryanne, isn't it? Like, you should not just wait for a particular job to be employed. You can start your own stuff. And this to the last segment, Terryanne, now. So what do you tell people that are at home and saying, I don't have work? I'm looking for work, but I don't get it. What do you tell them?
first of all, I mean, I sympathize, because I know how difficult it has been, especially now with COVID. So many companies letting go of people and not necessarily opening up the same spaces. However, I always feel that there will be a position, and there will be an opening for somebody who is extraordinary. So if there is, and if you do have, the potential to be extraordinary, then be it. Be it. Do it. Uh, Sorry, I just got a little distracted. Hi. Um, but if there is an opportunity to do something different, do it. And I always say, the social media has given us a place for visibility, for building your profile. I
Yeah,
mean, look at some of the amazing people we have seen over the last year, the likes of Elsa Majimbo.
indeed, yes.
Um, there's the other lady who dances. I forget her name.
Yeah, yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. As Zodiac, I mean, but I think I know what you're talking about. The Kenyan girl, right?
I see your age. I can see your age also.
So yeah, you cannot say that. You cannot say that at all.
Yeah, so that lady, and there's many other young people who have really, built a digital profile that has actually turned into a business,
Yes, yes,
and
yes,
they're making a lot of money. I mean, there was, so we've seen some of their rate cards going around, and you're like, wow, that is impressive. So, in whatever space that you are, find an opportunity. Most importantly, use social media to build your profile. Use Twitter,
yes,
and not necessarily, sending DMs to people saying, I'm looking for a job. No,
yes.
it doesn't, it's very hard for somebody to give you a job just because you DM'd them that you need a job. But begin
That's
to
interesting.
profile yourself in a particular way. If you studied, let's say if you studied what, journalism, for instance, because that's what I know. begin putting out content or responses, or little opinion
Yes.
pieces, even within the 140 words, or LinkedIn, or Facebook, and people will start responding to you if you are
Yes.
doing a good job at it. So use the social media platforms to grow your profile, because you
Yes.
never know who's watching, you never know who will notice you. But sitting
Yes.
at home and throwing a pity party will not take you anywhere, or blaming the government,
Yes.
insulting people online, using social media to bully, it will never take you anywhere, and nobody will hire you. Nobody
Wow.
will hire you. I was
As
listening to Steve Harvey
I
a
don't.
few weeks last week, and he was calling them keyboard gangsters. And we always say the internet never forgets. And the truth is, your employer will look at the content that you've been churning out. So you may have deleted, you may have not, but if you spend your time insulting people, bullying others, just putting out random content that doesn't do anything for your profile, delete, delete, delete. If there's anything you take away from my conversation today, is that your reputation is everything. Whether you're an entrepreneur, or whether you are, you're looking for employment, and use social media to build, not to
Yes.
bring down,
Yes.
because it doesn't do anything for you to bring other people down, but it does everything for you to actually build your own profile, no matter how small, how young, or how insignificant you think you may be. Just start beginning to put out content that will actually help you get visible, get respected, and you never know who's watching. You never know who's watching.
I honestly like this, and I like what you said. Use social media not to bring down, but to build yourself. And listen, nowadays, if one is looking for employment opportunities, the first thing people do is to Google, isn't it? And you want to
Yes.
see that this guy has got a footprint online. And also, actually, this happened to me. If you are looking for example, if you want to go to the United States, they ask for your Twitter handle, for the social media handles, isn't it? So if you're that kind of person that you want to work in the community, then you need to consider your reputation. You need to consider what are you putting on social media. I know people talk about the privacy element of it. You can work the settings, but these things, internet does not forget. These things do come up some point, whether you delete them or not. Well, Terryanne, this has been absolutely an honor to have you. Now, the most embarrassing part of this show, and and I'm going to ask, you can say no if you don't want to. Look, I believe in this, in soft skills. And as you say, sometimes not just academics will open doors for people. So I have you today. And what I normally do is I ask guests, depending on their profile, to introduce me to another person. Now, you know where
Oh,
I'm going,
I love
right?
that. I love that. I love that.
So do you know where I'm going now? Do you know what I'm going to ask?
No.
Yes, you do. Listen, I want Terryanne, please. And I don't know what I'm going to do, but I want Carol Mutoko on this show.
Okay.
I
I
know you're
will.
friends. I know you're, Terryanne, I know you're very good friends, Carol. And that's why I'm mentioning her name right now.
Yeah. All right. I will talk to Caroline. She's an incredible person. She
I know.
has, supported me through my journey.
I know.
She's one of those people who will, send a text and say, I'm seeing you. Well done. Keep going. And I value that a lot, because not many people will do that. Everybody sort of thinks you're okay if they
Yes.
see you on social media. But
Yes. Yes.
sometimes you just need that one person who'll give you a pat on the back and say, keep going, keep going. And Carol has been that for me.
And I know, Carol, she talks about soft skills in most of our talks on social media. So, um, so
Just
Terryanne,
write it down so I don't forget. Okay.
yes, and I'll remind you, I'm not shy. I'll keep on texting you. So, just to be clear here, before we end this show,
Yeah.
so you are telling me that you're going to introduce me to Carol Mutoko.
I will introduce you to Caroline Mutoko. I will pray that based on the conversation you have with her, she will come on the show. But
Of
I
course,
will do the introduction.
absolutely. And there's nothing wrong to asking. As I say, I don't know who you are. And when I wrote to you, you took some time to reply. But I went through your friends. And again, thanks to Rachel Mutoko, wherever you are. She made this happen.
Yeah.
And then this is what we're talking about, networking, trying to build each other, isn't it? And well, I'm talking about myself now because I want a favor from you. But Terryanne, it has been an absolute honor to have you here. And now we are not strangers, you know. I think it's very unfair to end this show without talking about your mentorship program, which I truly find it's honorable. So maybe talk us about that. So you have like what 300,000 women all over Africa that you work with, and you try to open up the opportunities. So tell us about this, and how can people join this kind of opportunity that you have, where you're trying to link people up, mostly women? How do they get to you? How will guys? I've got a sister myself. You know, if they want this kind of mentorship, where do they get you, and how?
All right. So I'll keep it brief. So the group is called Africa's Leading Ladies. It is a Facebook group and a platform where we provide, or we try to constantly, deliberately, and intentionally provide information that will help women move forward in their career, or their journey, whether it is mental health, mentorship, career, entrepreneurship, personal finance, a wide array of issues that will help women move to the next level. So we set up the group, or rather I set up the group in July last year. We're just over 389,000 women, mostly from Kenya, but from across the world. We've got a number of African countries: Uganda, Nigeria, South Africa, Ghana. We've got Africans in the diaspora as well: the US, the UK, Greece, Dubai, and the UAE. Quite a wide variety. And basically what we do in the group first is to provide a space where women can engage safely without getting bullied. They can offer mentorship. They can say, I want to be mentored. We bring in also, through partnerships, some learning opportunities. For instance, we have partnered recently with a company called D Africa, which is a learning institution, and they have given us access to the free courses from the University of Virginia, where many of the women have actually taken part in, from training in entrepreneurship, training in critical thinking, design thinking, which was actually quite popular as well. So for me, that space is, I'm passionate about women. I am where I am because I've had people who have held my hand and have opened opportunities for me, have said my name in rooms where I would not even have been able to knock on that door. So I just want to pay that forward, and not just by myself, but because I know there's many other women who can do the same for others, which is why I opened the group. And I said, let's do this. Let's hold each other's hand. We're not leaving anyone behind. If I'm in FMCG, I'm looking for a mentor in FMCG, we open a unit and we pair the women with each other, and they begin their their mentorship journey. And it's been an amazing couple of months. We're looking forward to what this year holds for us. But my hope is that more and more women will come on board and just be ready to pay it forward. Hold another lady who has not had the opportunity, to be guided or to be mentored, or just find those little opportunities. So it's been amazing. I'm excited about what this year holds, and I'm sure you'll hear about us soon.
No, listen, I thought that was quite incredible, and you've got my support. If I don't know how I can help you, but if you need any support, please let me know. As I say, you're not strangers anymore. For those who just joined us, this is Untitled Chapter School of Soft Skills, and today I was talking to Terryanne Chebet, based in Nairobi. And Terryanne have just promised us that our next guest will be Carol Muto. Listen, we can only ask, isn't it? And I asked you, and you liked the show, and you came. So again, I cannot thank you enough, Terryanne. I'm going to say this again. I did offer to send you flowers. You said no. I don't. So how do I say thank you to this, Terryanne? Then come on. You've shared your knowledge with us, your time. You refuse what I'd offered. So how do I say thank you? Because this is unbelievable opportunity you've given me. Clearly, you're going to grow my profile by having you on this show. But I want to say thank you, and everyone is listening to us right now. So how do I say thank you to this, Terryanne?
What you've said is good enough.
Oh no,
Thank you.
come on, no. I
It
don't feel
is
like I'm
good enough.
abusing you. You know,
No, no, you're not.
Terryanne,
You
Terryanne, I am experienced enough to know how network works. You don't just
that's
take. You know to give back as well. So
yeah.
no, please, is there? How do I say thanks? So you refuse my flowers for some reason. I don't know why. Um, so how's honestly, how do you say thank you for your time and for being with us right now?
You have said thank you, and I will take that. And I have had a great time, and I enjoy sharing from my experiences. So thank you is good enough, Kevin.
Oh, bless you. Oh, listen, I will thank you so much, Terryanne. I'll let you go. Um, Today I was talking to Terryanne Chebet, and she's been very grateful to be with us for last more than an hour. Actually, I normally don't take this much time with my guests, and I can talk forever. I mean, you're quite interesting. I like your personality. I like your experiences. It's quite admirable. But I'm going to behave and say thank you very much for your time, and see you soon.
Thank you, Kevin, and goodbye.
Bye for now.